Yo, yo, yo! What's up? Happy Friday. I had a couple of camera issues there right at the last moment, so sorry for the delay, but thanks for jumping on. So here we go on Friday with our SharePoint Weekly Newsletter Roundup. Bada boom. If you don't know already, I'm Kevin Townsend here for Bamboo Solutions, and every Friday we go over our SharePoint Weekly Newsletter Roundup. So we send out a weekly newsletter every Friday, about 8 a.m., hit your mailbox. It's got the all the details of the stuff going on in the worlds around SharePoint. So anyways, it's a really good newsletter. It's got great information in it. If you're in the SharePoint space and you're trying to get maybe some sort of a compiled tool of all the latest news so you can kind of stay up to speed what's going on in the SharePoint space. This is like across the official outlets of information like Microsoft and other major partners and vendors, as well as some of the blogs that are out there in the industry as well. So we kind of pull all that stuff together, stick it into a newsletter, and give it to you. So let's get started. Let's pull this thing up. Got it in my mailbox here. Let's see here. Where are you at? There it is. There it is. Gonna load it in Chromium-based Edge today. The new Edge version coming out. It's Chromium-based, like that. Actually been having problems with it. It's been crashing on me quite a bit. So we'll see how this goes today. So let's go ahead and get on over. All right, so if you're not familiar, this is what our weekly newsletter roundup looks like. It's a MailChimp newsletter, goes out to you. Like I said, got a little plug there right at the top to come join me on the stream on Fridays at noon, and we go over this thing together. But this will release around 8 a.m.-ish usually on Friday mornings in your mailbox. So let's get started. Top news stories. There should be a ton to talk about this week just because of Microsoft Build. And if you didn't follow much of what was going on there, super exciting things going on. So let's see what we got. Number one, Microsoft Build 2019. Who'd have thunk? Everything announced on Azure, IoT, Edge, and Edge on Chromium, AI, Windows apps. Look at that. It's like the whole Edge review right here. See if I can stop this video from playing. Yeah, I didn't want your sound. Let's see what's going on. The conference had a heavy dose of cloud, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things, as well as strategic points for Windows developers. So for cloud, I will say in my experience on the first day, the keynote, everything was about Azure. So Them claiming Azure to be the world's computer, right? To do all the computations for the entire world, whether you're just using it to serve Windows or to whatever, right? It's going to be the world's computer, so they say. So, I don't know what the heck that was. Let's see what else they're talking about. They jumped the gun a bit ahead of Build 2019 with an announcement that is making generally available the previously announced hardware accelerated models running on its field programmable gate arrays, FPGAs. I don't even know what that is. Microsoft's Project Brainwave, its project to use FPGAs to provide fast AI processing in Azure. Interesting. A lot of options out there for AI and IoT. It's not like AWS and Google are ignoring those technologies, so look for Microsoft to go all visionary to some degree. True that. And then for AI, what did they say? Front end of Microsoft's AI talks may revolve around bots based on recent coverage by Mary Jo Foley. Part of its build announcement this year, Microsoft's also adding Onyx, ONNX, runtime support for NVIDIA TensorRT and Intel nGraph for high-speed inferencing on NVIDIA and Intel processors. Dope. Microsoft is adding a new category of cognitive services. It's calling Decision. It's to its stable of AI application programming interfaces, which developers can add to their apps. So the Decision category includes the previously announced Anomaly Detector API, so Personalizer, which looks to be a rebranded version of the current project Custom Decision Cognitive Service API. Good Lord, that's a mouthful. All right, I'm going to skip through this. We're going to get through this pretty quick here. The recap of Build 2019 Windows and developers tools that can be used today. Makes sense Microsoft devotes some time to Windows developers. The one shocker of Microsoft's most recent quarterly report is how good the Windows business performed. Windows is downplayed, but many Microsoft developers deal with creating applications for it every day. Boom. All right. Just know that this post is there. It's in the newsletter. It's got great info in it. One thing I didn't mention that is, you know, as we're going through this thing and you're like, yeah, I'd like to get on that newsletter. There it is in chat. You can go ahead and sign up for that. Let me know if I can help you at all. You can always reach out to me at sales@bamboosolutions.com. Always available to you. Just let me know. All right, so next one. At Build, Microsoft focuses updates on collaboration and productivity. Where's this at? SiliconANGLE. I like that. They kind of sort of stole the Angular logo in some way there. Let's see, what are they talking about here? Helping workers to be more collaborative and productive is always one of the key areas of focus at Microsoft Core's developer-focused Build conference. 3-day conference, Microsoft's beginning with the basics. Seems to be centered around fancy new AI software, but most important tool used by the majority of workers is still the trusty old internet browser. Recognizing that, Microsoft last year said it would be rebuilding its Edge browser, which I am using to browse the newsletter today, from the ground up based on the open source Chromium project, which also underpins Google LLC's popular Chrome browser. The latest version of Microsoft Edge is the fruit of that effort, with one of its key features being a new Internet Explorer mode that enables to run legacy IE-based apps. And I haven't seen that roll out. I do have, maybe I just don't know where to look for it yet. But I do have two versions of Edge installed, the Chromium-based Edge. I have the dev version and I have the Canary version. And Canary is a daily build, nightly builds. Let me look over there in that settings. Yeah, I don't see anything over there either for IE mode, so maybe I have to look for that. But yeah, I did see the big announcement at Build about that. Interactive experiences across the web. They also announced a new developer-focused effort that intends to foster collaboration no matter which browser people are using. Some of the capabilities of Fluid Framework promises will include support for co-authoring of web content and documents across multiple browsers and platforms. This was really neat. If you didn't catch that Fluid Framework, go back to YouTube and check out a video on that. It was so cool. It pretty much allowed you to do real-time editing with a partner through components. So for instance, they were in Microsoft Teams. Someone pasted a chat in there of a table that was a Fluid component. And then the person was working on it in Office 365 in the browser, in the Word doc, in that table, and it was updating in real time, whether it was through this little pasted table in Teams or in Word online. It was nuts. Pretty sweet. That's, yeah, one of the most compelling Microsoft 365 announcements for sure. Smarter intelligent agents. Let's see what we got here. But with tomorrow's virtual agents, that shouldn't be a problem since Microsoft is integrating the technology from a company called Semantic Machines. It acquired last year with its main bot building developer platform. So yeah, they're big push on bots there. They've been pushing on bots for a little bit. Actually, ever since Teams has been out, I think. Probably before that too, but you know. Doubling down on data. Another announcement, the company said it will open up its Microsoft Graph technology to developers with a new Data Connect feature. The Graph service, or it is a service that provides more context about how an organization's workflows across various documents, applications, and devices. What else? Less distractions, more answers. My Analytics. We've talked about that a bunch on the stream here in the morning news that we will recap. The My Analytics is that piece that watches what you're doing in Office 365 as an individual and gives you reports on that and what your interactions with the system are, how much time you're spending in various applications across Office 365. Kind of an interesting deal, right? But a little bit scary. We'll see. In addition, workers will soon be able to take actions from Microsoft Outlook without needing to switch between different apps. A new feature called Adaptive Cards in Outlook make it easy for people to approve reports, grant access to documents, or book focused time directly from their inbox. That's pretty sweet. That's only number 2, and here we are 17 minutes in already. Microsoft Search rolling out to Microsoft 365 and Office 365 commercial customers. So Search is supposed to be this new unified search across the organization. Please don't play any music there. Thank you. They want an internal search engine. Customers want an internal search engine with all soon engine will... What? They'll be able to tap into Microsoft Search. Yeah. Yo, what's up, Johnny Mo? What's happening? Haven't seen you on in a while. Of course, I haven't been streaming as much either, but thanks for jumping on, dude. So what are we talking about here? So this is Microsoft Search, and it's going to be rolling out and reach general availability by the end of the month. Last September at Ignite conference, they announced it. Search is an attempt to bring a more customized and cohesive search tool that taps into all those knowledge shares and data. Let's see what else. They got any kind of an example here? Microsoft Search includes AI technology that can read a document and extract specific information from it. So as one example given by Microsoft, you might ask, can I bring my dog to work? In response, Microsoft Search looks for and extracts the relevant paragraph from a human resources document that discusses each such workplace issue. So you can see, I did see this example. Let me see if I can open this image a little bit larger. This shows that they were able to do a search, right, using Bing, obviously here. And the top result up here is actually internal to your organization. It wasn't on the web. It was from within your Office 365 potentially, and it found a result that was specific to the question you asked in the www tool you used to do searches, right? So that was pretty sweet. Microsoft Search on its way. What else we got? Microsoft escalates its cloud battle with Amazon after a slew of new Azure announcements. This year's Microsoft Build Conference is chock full of announcements related to the company's cloud product, Azure. The company is making it easier for GitHub users to start using Azure. In the first quarter of this year, Microsoft's Azure revenue was estimated to be less than half of Amazon's cloud revenue. That's nuts. On Monday, Microsoft on Monday used the start of its Build Developer Conference in Seattle as an opportunity to unleash a slew of updates. For instance, Microsoft's letting users of GitHub Code hosting service provide their login credentials in order to access Azure Cloud tools. I did see that integration with sort of the CI/CD stuff, the Azure pipelines, etc. At the same time, the company is making GitHub's enterprise tier compatible with the Microsoft Azure Active Directory service, so administrators will be able to more easily manage employees' GitHub use. They're looking to drive greater adoption of Azure Public Cloud for hosting applications and storing data, no doubt. What else? Amazon continues to maintain a big lead in the market, and Google, which is thought to be behind Microsoft, is doubling down on its cloud efforts under its new chief. Amazon had 32% of the cloud market share at the end of 2018. Microsoft had 13%, and Google had 7%. So let's see what else. GitHub, which Microsoft bought last year for $7.5 billion, could represent an on-ramp of sorts for Microsoft public cloud services. On Monday, Microsoft said it will release an Azure SQL database tool that can handle computing in a serverless capacity. That's pretty freaking awesome. It means devs won't have to set up and manage underlying resources. Jeez, I got like this itch going on. So excited about Azure, I got an itch. In the first quarter, Amazon picked up $7.7 billion in revenue from AWS. Microsoft does not specify revenue from Azure, but analysts, these people, estimated that Azure produced around $3.5 billion. They did say, though, that revenue from Azure rose 73% year over year. That's pretty intense. I think revenue across the cloud board is rising. Windows 10 says hello to no passwords with FIDO2 certification. Let's see, where can we get the definition of FIDO here for all of us? John, you might know what FIDO is, dealing with what you've dealt with there at the airport systems and stuff. FIDO2, where is that? I'm looking here. Come on, somebody define it. Let's go look over the FIDO2 standard. The FIDO Alliance, the FIDO Certified Security. Geez, somebody tell me what FIDO is? Two-user authent stuff? Yeah, I don't know. It's a standard, right? Really? It wasn't that easy to identify as I'm browsing across that stuff? Come on. FIDO Alliance. I don't understand. How can you name something an acronym and then not define the acronym right up front? Oh, come on, Nightbot. Let's see. How can I gotta go open up Nightbot. Hold on, John. Sorry for pasting links. Let's see here. Let go of my homie, bro. Oh, come on. I need some. Here we go. Jeez. I thought I turned off the ability to, or that it would block people after pasting links. Let me see here. Just looked on Wiki. Smart move, bro. Wikipedia. FIDO. Number one result, dog. The FIDO Alliance. Now it's just, now I have to go figure this out. I spent too much time already. Fast Identity Online. Isn't that what's in their name? No, it's not up there. Simpler, stronger authentication is what it says. So it's Fast Identity Online. It addresses the lack of interoperability among strong authentication devices and reduces the problems users face creating and remembering multiple usernames and passwords. All right. What a tangent. Does it say that anywhere right here? Fast Identity Online. No. If I go to their website, does it say Fast Identity Online anywhere? No, that just seems kind of stupid, doesn't it? All right. Well, all right. So anyways, that tangent was all to say that Windows 10 Hello, which is that sort of mechanism for using things other than passwords to log into Windows, is now going to be FIDO2 certified, which means now that you can unlock your Windows machine with a facial recognition or a pen or something like that, as opposed to the password. Yeah. Getting some certification there, that means it's probably going to be able to move into spaces it wasn't formerly allowed in. So I'm excited for that. I use that for sure, Windows 10 Hello. Let's see what else. When Microsoft launches the Fluid Framework. Yeah, this is what I was talking about just a second ago. This was so awesome. Again, nobody pastes images in their articles that I can blow up. larger. So this is a new thing, and what it does is it componentizes, like in this example, a table that someone inserted into a Word document. Here they are editing it in Microsoft Word Online. It's actually on the Fluid website, but this is Word Online, right? They're over here, they got a table, they're massaging some cells in the table. They pasted that table into a Microsoft Teams chat. And check it out. It was in real time updating and allowing them to interact with and edit that table from Teams in parallel with what's going on in the Microsoft Word document. So that real-time editing capability now componentized and follows you across your tools. Super cool, man. I was like, wow, that's awesome. So yeah, huge post here about what Fluid is, the Fluid framework. Another thing that was really neat was, check this out. They had 9 windows open of Microsoft Word here, and they used Translate. And as they were typing, it was translating it in real time across all of those other windows for users that may be in different languages or internationalizations, etc. Is that cool or what? It was quick too, man. It was very impressive. All right. Another awesome thing coming out of Microsoft Build this week, which was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think. It was so cool. All right, so Microsoft touted something called the Power Platform at its big event this week. What is the Power Platform? I'm assuming it's got Power BI, Power Apps. The Power Platform includes 3 components: Power BI, Power Apps, and Flow. Boom! It was rolled out in 2018. The products aren't generating major revenue yet for Microsoft, but Microsoft sees plenty of promise, particularly with cloud demand pushing the growth of the company's commercial cloud, including Dynamics 365, Office 365, and Azure, to 41% in the latest quarter, and briefly lifting the company's market capitalization past $1 trillion. That's right, $1 trillion. They still see Azure, Microsoft 365, including Office 365, Windows 10, and security tools, and gaming as growth drivers and strong platforms for outside app developers. The Power Platform is the newest addition to the mushroom platform opportunity and provides more customization. For the first time, in fact, in our own Microsoft history, we have an extensibility model that is the same for Office 365 and Dynamics 365. Yeah, boy. Yeah, so us here at Bamboo, we use the heck out of the Power Platform already. That's for sure. All up in that. All right, so Microsoft did that one. Microsoft becomes master of its own Linux kernel. This is this the Windows terminal they're about to talk about? Because I'm super excited about that. They announced its own full Linux kernel that'll power WSL 2. So if you don't know what WSL is, it's the Windows subsystem for Linux. And what it does is it actually allows you to install a Linux flavor of your choosing. I have Ubuntu installed on my Windows from the Microsoft Store, and it runs in the background. So it doesn't put the GUI to your Linux distro there on Windows, but you interact with it through the Linux terminal. So anyways, this announcement is the full Linux kernel will power WSL2, which I don't believe the full kernel is currently implemented. So some huge future updates as we get into that. Let's see what else. Both the in-house custom-built Linux kernel for WSL2 and the Windows command line terminal are intended primarily for developers. Strong battle against AWS more than anything. What else? Microsoft's future is not in the desktop market. Isn't that an interesting quote? Though, of course, the company will continue to protect its ground there, he told Linux Insider. Its future is the cloud market, which certainly could include desktop components in the future. I think so. Azure's already kind of working that way, and they did just release in preview, I think, a first attempt at virtualizing the desktop space as sort of a simple click and configure option in Azure. So now I can actually go set up the infrastructure that you used to have to install locally and now, in the cloud too, but I can just like click a templatized solution to provision thin clients pretty much for all of my workers to then have remote desktops to actually use for computers. So users can run more Linux apps in WSL2, such as Docker and Fuse, according to Craig Lowen, program manager for the Windows Developer Platform. I don't see the Windows terminal mentioned in here yet, so maybe that's coming in a couple of the next stories, but Let's see what we got here. Kernel provided for WSL2 would be fully open source. Microsoft will provide instructions for creating a WSL kernel on GitHub. Yeah, that's it. Yep, this is it. So Windows Terminal 1.0 provides many settings and configuration options that offer better control over the terminal appearance, as well as each of the shells and profiles that open as new tabs. So a lot of the reason that developers don't get onto Windows is for the fact that terminal on Linux and Mac are just so much better. And this is Microsoft saying, yo, we heard you. We're actually going to make this thing open source too, so how'd you like to be able to enhance it? And the one thing we know you guys love to do with your terminals is freaking style it, right? Theme it. And they said, what do you know? We got a full theming system built into it. So they're like, they're just killing it, going after the things that devs love. What might come next? The possibility that Microsoft will use its in-house Linux kernel for other purposes, such as developing its own Linux distro. How interesting would that be? It's a bit of a stretch, I agree, but for the time being, I expect the company will mainly focus on making Windows and Linux increasingly compatible and complementary. All right, let's get on. Let's get on with it. Microsoft Identity Platform to supplant Azure Active Directory for app developers. This is interesting. I've got a vested interest in this article. So they announced the new Microsoft Identity Platform as its latest means for adding identity support to applications. It was described by Microsoft as being an evolution from the current Azure Active Directory version 1.0 solutions. In Microsoft versioning logic, that also means that Microsoft Identity Platform is already at version 2. The idea behind the new platform is to let developers build apps that can tap into both Microsoft accounts, like Outlook.com or Hotmail, and Azure AD accounts. There's also social media accounts support in conjunction with the Azure AD B2C service. The Identity Platform also affords easier access to the graph data for developers, according to Microsoft video description. What else? Currently working to close the gap so that all Azure AD API capabilities will be available to Microsoft Graph by the end of the year. Interesting. Yeah, I do have an app currently running using the Azure AD B2C solution, so I'm interested to see what's going to come of this. All right, so last but not least here for the top news stories this week, Build 2019, Microsoft says it's still fully supporting UWP apps and the Windows 10 Microsoft Store. I did see some blogs about this, about everyone's kind of thinking that UWP, which if you're not familiar is it's the modern way to develop desktop apps in the Microsoft space, provided by Microsoft. So there was a lot of frustration with that people felt like it was probably being sunsetted and moving away from. So let's see what they say here. Seems the rumor about the death of UWP for 10 apps have been greatly exaggerated. There are actually several sessions dedicated to UWP apps in the Build 2019 session catalog. What are they saying here? In an interview with ZDNet, Kevin Gallo, corporate vice president of the Windows Developer Platform, explained that ending the massive divide between Win32 apps and UWP apps is still very much a work in progress. By the time we're done, everything will just be called Windows apps, explained Gallo, adding that the company's end goal is to make every platform feature available to every developer. So a bunch of details there on that topic if you're interested. We are already 34 minutes past the hour, and that's all right. I'm just going to skip through some of these, but let's get through it. You know, with Build going on this week, there sure was a lot to cover. Around the blogosphere. So this is things that MVPs, enthusiasts, evangelists of the market here for this particular market, the SharePoint space. These are the things they're writing about online that we felt like were good information to know if you're in the space. So, product deployment in the modern classic SharePoint era from Bamboo Nation by your own Kevin Townsend. Yep, I wrote a nice article there on how we handle product deployment as we release new products for the cloud, sort of the complexities that we've come across with Microsoft's constant updates to the way that they do things and their new sort of app deployment model. This is our attempt at explaining how we've handled that and how our solutions deploy currently for your SharePoint needs. So there you go, front and center. KJ, got a post. What do we got here? SPFX web part localization in config.json. super technical post here for all you devs out there, but looks like we're going to talk about how SPFX documentation does a good job of describing the steps necessary to localize the strings in your component. However, there is one thing that's missing from the docs that can trip you up, and it looks like that's going to be localization. So he's got a potential walkthrough here, a solution for you if you're looking to implement that. What else we got? Mastering the SharePoint framework. Sprint 16 adds SPFX with teams, spas, and tons of updates. This is from Andrew Connell, the man. Let's see what he says. So he's got a course, Mastering the SharePoint Framework. It's a multi-part course. Did they call him out here? No. Let me just open this up and show you what that course looks like. This is it right here. The framework. That's interesting. It's got some pricing on there. I actually haven't seen this page yet, but the one thing I have seen is the one by Kyle Schaefer. Very similar, it seems. This is the best way to learn modern SharePoint framework development. So what you're going to notice, I think, is an increase in the amount of quality courses that are being put out there for the Office dev space, which include SharePoint framework, because it's using modern languages and technologies and open source tools to accomplish development now. It didn't used to be the case. So now that it's sort of creeping into that space where most developers in the world live, I think you're going to find more traction in this particular area. So anyways, here he's talking about how Sprint 16 added SPFX with team spas and tons of updates. He intended to record a lot of new content. However, when the SPFX 1.8 release came out, there were enough changes to SPFX that he decided to go back and update the course. So there's a new chapter, client-side web parts advanced, and let's see what he says here. The ability for SPFX to support single-page apps has been a popular request. That's very true. We want to be able to throw Angular and React apps inside of our SharePoint solution using the SharePoint framework. That new capability essentially allows us to deploy a web part as the delivery vehicle to host a single-page app on a brand new page. Microsoft calls the full-page app pages. Full-page app pages. It's a lot of page. In addition to spas, another big improvement for the SPFX introduced was the ability to use SPFX web parts as custom tabs in Microsoft Teams. True that. Last time, I guess a couple of P&P calls ago that I was on, they had talked about how they're going to now allow SharePoint Framework to potentially extend Office products as well. So Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, and actually produce a SharePoint Framework solution that can be deployed to those Office tools. So anyways, there was talk that they'd have to rename the framework because it applies to more than SharePoint now. Now it's in Teams and Office. That's been going on for a while. So let's see here. What else? Script to check the performance of your SharePoint Online requests. Yeah. Here we go. So here's a little script from, who's this? Gokhan. I don't hope I said your name right. Regional Director and MVP for Microsoft. I'd like to share with you a little script that I'm always using at customers for checking the response time of my modern SharePoint sites. You got to change the path, the end date, and URLs to have results in your CSV. So you run this script, and then you get a CSV printout. It looks like you got a duration for the request to specific URLs. You get a time in and a timeout stamp, and then you can calculate that and kind of see where your metrics are, see what that performance is like. That's pretty useful. I actually have a customer request for that right now. SharePoint Server 2016 minimum supported patch level update. Real quick, let's just see. They updated the minimum support patch level for SharePoint Server 2016 and Project Server 2019. As we all know, Microsoft changed the product servicing policy for the SharePoint Server back in 2017. No new service pack will be released for the SharePoint Server 2016. Microsoft will only release the monthly cumulative updates. Public updates which contain all the fixes. Okay. So you're going to get CUs, you're just not going to get service packs anymore? Is that what I'm understanding? Yeah. Interessante. If you are an administrator there in the SharePoint world, boom. If you didn't know that, I just laid the smackdown on your world. SharePoint problems. How to resolve you cannot edit this page error in modern SharePoint. It looks like we got some a little bit of a problem layout here. This is what's going on, and then we got a solution. So there's two solutions. Restore an earlier version or change the content type for that. Interesting. So useful tool there. Ultimate SharePoint governance template. SharePoint Maven. What do we got here? During the course of my corporate consulting career, I had a chance to review, contribute, and critique a number of SharePoint governance documents. Amen to that. Let's see. So he's written it. SharePoint governance plan template is made available to you courtesy of here. It's probably going to be behind a email. So you're probably gonna have to give your email address in order to get this, I assume. I don't know, let's see. No, I don't. Huh. Nicely done, guys. I like it. Truly sharing. I'll go open that later. Governance template though, man, who couldn't use one of those? Delete all deactivated WSP solutions on SharePoint. What's this, PowerShell? Yep, got a nice PowerShell there. PNP PowerShell. Remove PNP folder, right host. Got it. All the sandbox solutions that was deactivated on your SharePoint site are now deleted. There you go. Quick script. Boom, delete all. Yep, got that one. PNP SharePoint Framework React Controls 1.13 released. I won't go into that, but there are a lot of details around that. Create SharePoint lists from Excel or other lists. It seems pretty useful for the 101s, right? Let's see. Millions of users turn to SharePoint lists to store critical business data. Lists are secure, easy to use, and high capacity with up to 30 million items in a single list. Today, across Microsoft 365, SharePoint lists store billions of rows of data to house information for scenarios like customers, audits, or emergency room availability, and more. So, as we previewed SPC 18, we're releasing new abilities to let you create new lists from an existing list or from an Excel table. So now you've got this option here from existing list, and you've got a from Excel there button, if you can see that. That's even worse. But you can point to the location you're looking for, and it will generate a new list and allow you to name it and such. List from Excel. It'll actually give you a preview here, it looks like. Pretty neat. SharePoint Framework 1.82. Yep, we just kind of read about some of that with Andrew Connell's post up there. That's from Andrew Connell again, so he gives you some more updates on what's in that 0.2 and that 0.1 version. And then how to build an awesome knowledge-based wiki in SharePoint Online using modern pages. I could have swore this was going to be one of our blog posts because, you know, we're sort of knowledge-based people in the SharePoint world. So he's talking about how to build one out of a wiki in SharePoint Online. So if you're looking for an out-of-the-box solution, this is looks like you got a nice tutorial here for accomplishing that. And it looks like it's going to be using the modern pages. So if you're already in the modern experience in your SharePoint Online, boom, solution. Knowledge base right there. All right, that's it for top news stories and around the blogosphere. So let's get into the events real fast like. So we got SharePoint Saturdays coming up. Speaking of which, I'm going to be there in Reston, Virginia, June 1st. SharePoint Saturday, all day. I'll be wearing the black bamboo shirt. So come check it out. Let's see, SharePoint Saturday, May 11th, Atlanta, Cologne, Durban North. I don't even know where that's at. Montreal. Where's our other ones here? London, Reston. That's the one I'll be at. Nashville, Paris, Madrid, Philadelphia, Netherlands. And then we got these other things going on up here. So we got Git tracking, get your projects organized in Office 365. We got a PMC online demo. We've got, that'll be hosted by me, so please come check it out. If you want to register for that, email me at sales@bamboosolutions.com. I can get you a link. What else we got? We got building modern SharePoint applications using SharePoint Framework. There's another one here for the Bamboo Planner Plus. Let's get to planning with Kanbanized list data. What do you think about that title? This guy. And that's it. That's what's coming up. So that's the newsletter right there, guys. That's all the news I got today. I'm tired of talking. I like this song. All right, guys. I'm gonna call it there. 45-minute newsletter session. It's the longest one I've ever done. Build 2019, just stacking the deck there. You need coffee and or beer? Yes, I do. Speaking of which, Black Flag today, 4 o'clock. Anyways, thanks for jumping on, everybody. Thanks, John, for being here. Appreciate you getting on again and hanging out with me. I'll text you later, bro. Catch you all a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday. I'll see you on Wednesday, actually, for the product use case. All right, peace out.
Be carefree lately, yeah. Just kicking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pockets. Counting like the four-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on daydreams. Got dirty little lullabies playing on repeat. Might as well just ride around the nursery and count sheep.